mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it alive.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And this time around, I have Dr. Tamara Chambers Richards. But I think she's okay with me calling her Tamara. Yes, I believe so. True? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So she's an educator, she's an author, she's a mother, and she's a wife. Welcome, Tamara.
Thank you for having me, Noreen.
Tell us a little bit about your books, because I've read them. So tell us, unless you've written something else that I'm not aware of, but tell us a little bit about your trilogy, I think it would be called.
Yes, it is. So my books are called Highest Praise Chronicles, Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. And these books chronicle my journey from Jamaica to Canada and the pursuit of doctoral education and the wonderful moments of praise during hardship in what was cataloged as a 7-year experience at the time. So book 1 talks a little about, figuring out that we were heading to Canada, what it took to get there, how we transitioned in a 1-year period. Book 2 talked about the second year, which was a year riddled with hardships, financial hardships, death, and so on. And book 3 cataloged the remaining 5 years and that transition to just culminating in highest praise at the completion of that degree and just
That degree.
Yeah.
I like how you're just trivializing that degree. It's not just that degree. Right. Okay. The doctoral degree.
The
Right.
doctoral degree. In the
Okay.
grand scheme of things and the happenings of the book, there were other things that superseded the need for that degree, which is
Okay.
why I referred to it as that degree.
Okay.
But God has been good,
Okay.
all in all, and therefore the catchphrase is highest praise, meaning God deserves the highest praise. Hallelujah. Amen. It is done.
Okay. And for those who, based on what you described, would like to get it, just tell us how to get it, because I mean, I have my copies, but right. Tell them how to get it.
So the books right now are on Amazon.
Okay.
And also there are copies at Northern Caribbean University. They're being secured by Patrina Bailey Green there, who works at Northern Caribbean University. So that's where they're available at this point in time.
All right. Thank you so much for telling us that, Tamara. So,
You're most welcome.
all right. So as I indicated that she is an educator and an author. So from that, you can bet that she works in a school setting. Now, what we're going to be unpacking this time around is navigating the workplace as an introvert. So just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, what is an introvert?
So first of all, I'll clear up the myth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you hear the word introvert, most people attribute that to people who are socially awkward, people who don't like people, and people who are shy. Not necessarily so. Introverts can be all those things, but that's not the definition of an introvert. An introvert is somebody who is sapped. Their energy is sapped by interaction. And so they need to recharge and to they don't gain energy at all from interactions with others. And there are different kinds of introverts. So you have the social introvert, the thinking introvert, which I'm not a social introvert. So I'm more on the reserved introvert side, which is thoughtful and careful and deliberate in their actions. And then you also have the anxious introvert. So I would say that I am a thinking, reserved introvert. I am, yeah, I'm not the most excitable character. I don't think I have any extroversion within me. But
Okay.
you learn over the years in your different roles
Mhm.
to be able to navigate situations that would sap your energy naturally as somebody whose energy is not replenished through interactions with others.
Okay. All right. So given the fact that in any workspace, especially in a school setting, you have to interact, how have you been navigating the workspace?
Wonderful. So there are a few things that I would say would be necessary to note about me as a person,
Mhm.
right? In also dispelling the myths of introversion is that people tend to think that introverts or most introverts don't enjoy public speaking. That's not so for me.
Okay.
I do enjoy speaking, and I think it also stems from my thoughtfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I enjoy public speaking. I do
Mm-hmm.
much better as a public speaker than in one-to-one interactions.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So the balance there, how I navigate that need
Mm-hmm.
for that type of interaction is it's important to have group settings versus depending on the context. If I am on a stage giving a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
I do feel buoyed up
Okay.
during the presentation. And the thing about
Mm-hmm.
introversion is I do enjoy public speaking because that's where I have the control and
Okay.
I can direct my own energy versus in a one-to-one interaction that's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more difficult. So, how do I navigate the workspaces with this in mind? It's being prepared for
Okay.
meetings. Um, just being authentic and honest. So I would say to my supervisor, what's coming? Is it possible for me to have agendas ahead of time?
Mm.
And ahead of time doesn't mean any long periods of time. It could be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, a day or two, then I can see the agenda and I can prepare speaking
Accordingly.
points.
Mm-hmm.
If there's going to be brainstorming sessions, then it's important that those come ahead of time. So I
Mm-hmm.
know the topic so I can think through. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm a thinking
Mm-hmm.
introvert, a careful, deliberate, and thoughtful introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So there's need for that space to
Mm-hmm.
be able to think. I don't do very well on days where there are back to back to back to back to back meetings,
Mm.
and then decisions are required around that because then I would not have. First of all, the energy would have been sapped with an
Mm-hmm.
entire day of interactions, and I
Mm-hmm.
would not have had a moment
To
of
process.
processing and
Mm-hmm.
reflection. So we talked a little bit about being prepared
Prepared. Mm-hmm.
for meetings, setting boundaries. So I learned the hard way. So now when I enter any professional space, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting people know a little bit about who I am. There are some times during the day where I may need to close my door
Mm.
to be able to recharge. So most times
Mm.
I'm having lunch at my desk just to have that half an hour or so to process, to recharge, to block out interactions. Um, and that doesn't mean that networking
Mm-hmm.
is ignored. So balancing that need for space to
Mm-hmm.
think and to recharge is
Mm-hmm.
also understanding your role and understanding when it is that you need to enter into social spaces. So for
Mm.
networking, I am careful about events that I attend and honest with myself about how much interaction I can actually
Mm-hmm.
absorb. So the and I have a little bit of shyness
Mm-hmm.
in new interactions and new spaces. So it's good when I know that people that I know
Mm-hmm.
will be at events. And so I
Okay.
won't be, feeling awkward in a space.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things too is to just tell myself that I'm going to talk to maybe one, two, three people. If I know who is on the guest list, then I can
Mm-hmm.
identify, okay, in my role, these are the point people that it would be good to engage with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm preparing my thoughts and any conversation that
Mm-hmm.
I may need to have ahead of time. And it's okay to duck out early. Once you've fulfilled the duties there. Those just are just a few pieces, but the list could go on and on, Noreen. The other thing too
Mm-hmm.
is, as a thinker,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quick to jump into a conversation. So the thing about it is to tap into your strengths. So active listening is a strength. So,
Okay.
and the important thing is to verbalize what you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just silent. I say, oh, the purpose of this meeting today is for me to listen. Once I've done listening, perhaps I'll share a thought
Mm-hmm.
or two, or maybe I'll take this away and get back to you. Or I will respond in writing,
Mm-hmm.
or I will summarize this conversation in an email, because I find that digital communication
Mm-hmm.
ties in well with my strengths as an introvert. Notice I said strengths because
Mm-hmm.
at times we tend to approach introversion from a deficit
Definitely. Yeah.
standpoint, but it is definitely not a deficit. It's an awesome strength to have, to be able to, because of the thinking and the
Mm-hmm.
deliberate
Mm-hmm.
nature. Then, according to Gallup, who does these psychological testing, and
Mm-hmm.
my top strength is strategic.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tamara Chambers Richards. Today we are talking about navigating workspaces as introverts. We'll take a break to hear from our partners. We'll be right back.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors. Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-877-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Hello, my name is Nicky Mason, and I want to share with you my journey with Noreen Daly in my communication coaching sessions. As I went through the sessions with Noreen, I was able to recognize my strengths in communication. Some things I didn't recognize that I would do, she was able to unearth and allow me to recognize that these are some strengths that I had. I did have some weaknesses which I was challenged to overcome through research, reviewing other public speakers, and being able to sit before a camera and to speak to an audience, an invisible audience. It was fun, and as a coach, she was patient and she gave good feedback, and she was able to give me the insight into communication as to how to best use my skills, my natural communication strengths to be engaging as a speaker. And I would recommend anybody who seeks to become a more competent communicator to enroll in her program. Reach out to her, and I believe you're going to enjoy the journey as much as I did. Thanks.
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at landolanguage@gmail.com, because the real question is, how can we help you?
Welcome back. And yeah,
The fact that you obviously at this point you're like, this is how I will navigate these spaces because I know this is what will work for me. How have you then managed persons who probably don't understand that this is just who you are and probably would interpret it as being aloof or standoffish, in certain, well, specifically in the workspace? How are you navigating that?
well, I've learned to not just demonstrate who I am, but share who I am. So
Okay.
I'm very
Okay.
upfront from the beginning of any work situation or any network situation to explain that I am introverted and what it means, and these are my needs, and
Okay.
is that all right? So you kind of have a verbal contract for interactions, and I do love people, and I do interact with others, and I find that people are drawn to me as a person naturally, right? Because believe it or not, my second top strength is relator, which means that I am good at developing and maintaining relationships. So I moved from a strategic relationship driven method of interaction as an employee in the workspace. So people, and I find that being deliberate and thoughtful leads to better interactions with others. So I have a situation recently where I was taken aback, but with time, with a little time to think through, I was able to navigate very well, and that situation ended up very well. The conversation went well, and so I find that the strength of introversion is that even difficult conversations can go very well because it's taking time to think through and plan the steps, and not telling yourself negative stories.
Was there ever, because obviously you would have come to this realization over time. I mean, we're young, but we're not that young. So with that being said, for somebody who is still literally just starting their professional journey or probably haven't yet started, probably still in school and still not sure. All right, let me give you an example. A lot of persons, and I find, because as you know, in my other life, I'm the chair of the Department of Communication Studies at NCU. And sometimes a lot of the introverted students sometimes think that they're not cut out for media because they think that to be in media, you have to be out there and you have to be an extrovert. So what would be your advice then to them who are still, finding their way, so to speak? What would be your advice?
A couple of things, Noreen. There's an author, Suzanne Cain, a best-selling author who wrote the book Quiet. So the fact that she's a best-selling author, this book is best-selling. She's introverted. The book is really talking about the values of introversion, and it's best-selling. There are more people out there who are introverted in extroverted spaces than we even could imagine. She says in that book that think about your space in the world, what you will contribute to the world, and work towards it, because quiet is a strength. a formidable strength. And so my own advice is to own who you are, be your authentic self. Don't fall into the myths that introversion means negative things, right? You could even be shy and learn how to navigate public spaces or spaces that require multiple interactions. And I do feel, like I said before, that I'm introverted and I do enjoy the public speaking. Like I'm truly enjoying this conversation that we're having today. And it doesn't mean that being introverted doesn't mean that you don't have the strength of communication. And communicative strengths can be developed. Anything in life can be developed. So put some energy and thought into how you would like to be developed. What are your goals for a communication career? Invest in that. And the rest, they say, will be history if you invest in yourself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As we're wrapping up, if all of what you said literally, proverbially, or figuratively flew over somebody's head, what is the one idea? Say, if you got nothing else, this is my core. This is the crux of the matter. What would that be for you?
Own who you are, be yourself, invest in yourself, and bring yourself to your interactions. People, Noreen, enjoy authenticity. Don't pretend to be who you are. Don't try to be an extrovert if you're an introvert. There are times when you will have to be in a more outgoing role, but prepare for that. Prepare for that. Be yourself. Find ways to regain that energy that you lose through multiple interactions.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Tamara.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for